Good morning and welcome to the Women's Nest. Today's February 1st. Happy February. Turning my volume off on my phone. Very lazy today. Wasn't going to do this. Much like I said, I was going to the gym and I haven't gone there yet, but the day's not over. My triumphant return to the gym starts in February. Hopefully, is that bad to say? I was just going to say, hopefully everyone failed on their New Year's resolutions. I don't hope people fail on their New Year's resolutions. I just hope the gym's not crowded. Is that too much to ask? All right. So, hopefully you guys know the Sunday drill. Ramblings, talking about stuff. My desk is a mess. Oh, I ordered a desk from the Evil Empire Amazon. So the desk that I currently have, I'm trying to move this closer so you guys can hear me better. And I'll have a funny story about the microphone too. The desk that I have, I received during COVID. So 2020. And that desk was a used desk from someone else. And it's one of those items that don't move it because it doesn't, the integrity of it standing up is not going to last. And I wanted a sit-stand desk. And, you know, if you get them from like real places, they're really expensive. And the spacing has to be pretty small, 47 inches. But it's semi-L shaped, so a lot of this stuff can be moved around, and I don't have to move my computer back and forth when I'm doing streams. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that. It's supposed to be here Thursday. And Ryan has Thursday, Friday off. So hopefully my desk will be all done for me. It won't be because he's not going to want to move any of my shit. So a little feedback from last week when I did the chit chat hour with Brianna. Again, go see her on TikTok and buy some of her stuff. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. Feedback was like, it was weird. I was like eavesdropping in on someone's conversation. I'm like, okay, but literally so many different things brought up memories for them and made it like a conversation piece, right? So this person doesn't have children, but they identified with the handcuff situation, right? And it was funny because it happened to the kids, and she brought up a story of how she handcuffed her cousin to like a piece of furniture at our house. It was like, so-and-so can't leave now. And then also the prolapse. She was like, I had a conversation in my 20s with someone like that. Like, why me? So right, like this is the fun part of it is, while we may not be face to face, you know, obviously I got feedback, so this person is face to face to me, but it can spark a conversation, right? And sometimes let them be funny. Sometimes let them be serious, because sometimes we need to talk serious stuff. And sometimes we need to kind of just enlighten us. So while again a lot of my stuff is recovery based, there's so much out there that women need other women to help them with, or say, I'm not alone, I feel that way too, or I never thought of it that way. So instead of me like piling up more and more and more of my post-it notes of stuff, my goal today is to go through the post-it notes, so I can move along. But I'm also going to talk about my list for the weekend and how I didn't really get any of that done. But let's just start here. So I have Amazon return, which I'm hoping to do right after this and then go see my sponsor, because that's very important for me too. Bills. Oh, I can check that off because I did those yesterday. Okay. Food shop, kind of a necessity, right? But I had to write it down because I need to see I need to see that I did some stuff this weekend. And hopefully after I visit my sponsor, I'm going to go to the expensive store and just buy some basic stuff. Laundry, right? Another thing that had to get done, but I got to cross it off. And vacuum. Didn't do that. I puzzled. I also went to a service yesterday. And I went with former coworkers from, when did I get laid off from COVIDian? It must have been like 2015-ish. Yeah, okay. So at least a decade ago. And we still communicate, like not every day, right? Like not like, your best friend for life, one person's got this part of the charm and you've got the other part. Not like that. And again, right, a real mix of people. We're all about the same age. Late 30s to mid 40s. Ooh, mid. Ooh. We all have children, okay? Some are younger, some are older. I think Tyler's actually the oldest. And so we went there. So it was the total of 5 of us. But we all chatted for about 30 minutes. And one person said, we trauma bonded. I'm like, we did? Never thought of it, right? Because to me, like, trauma is, an assault, a change in life unexpectedly, right? A loss. And then when I got home, I was like, actually, we did trauma bond. I wouldn't say it was a toxic environment, but it was an environment that you had to be your best all the time. And if you weren't, you were reprimanded for it, whether that was in a monthly session with your supervisor or whatnot. And while, like, there was overtime and you were compensated for it, like, there was the push for that. So, the company could look better and, whatnot. And that's another whole stream. But yeah, I thought about that and I was like, maybe we did trauma bond, right? But I look back and these women, all but one, all but one worked in the same department. But I look at them very differently. I bonded with them over my personal trauma. This is a point in time where I was living comfortably in a small town. And then my life got upended by no fault of my own within 24 hours. Like, I received information while I was at work. And then I had to go out on medical leave for PTSD, which never got approved, by the way. Company was like, no, you don't have it. That's not a good enough doctor's note. Oof, talk about a memory coming back. It's okay. A year later, they laid me off. Yeah, no big deal. A year or two late. God, my years are all messed up. Within a couple of years, they laid me off. So, no harm, no foul. Yeah, so I had to uproot my life and then didn't get paid for like a month and a half. It was good. Good times, good times. So I look at that situation a little differently. Like I relied heavily on those women. Not as much as like the people like within my tribe, and like Brianna is one of them. She was really in that tribe from jump. But I still had to work there. Actually, it was a couple of years after because now another memory just popped up. But again, I look at that connection and how fortunate, blessed, whatever word, adjective, I don't know, you want to use, that I had and have those women in my life. Without getting into too much detail, another one had said, I'm sorry that I kind of had to like walk away. I had so much of my own shit, and it was just like, I get it. Like when we're in survival mode, we tend to not want to let people in, and that's kind of like the worst that we can do. And it's really like that mind spirit, like the mind heart difference, right? Our mind is going to tell us, no, you don't need people, you'll figure this out. I'm number one offender. I got this, I'll figure it out. And in return, our heart is really telling us like, hey, you need help, lean on other ones. One of my favorite songs is Lean on Me, right? Lean on me when you're not strong. Because there's always going to be a point in time where like my strength runs out. It could be for a situation. It could be a moment in time. It could be for a length of time. But I'll get my strength back. But how do I get that strength back? I only get that back when I don't have to pour all of me all the time. I need someone else to hold me while I'm crumbling. And that was kind of something I saw yesterday and kind of been thinking about for a couple of weeks. So maybe you're on one side of this versus the other side. Maybe your world isn't crumbling right now. Maybe your cup is full and you're good. Try sharing that with someone. Or you could be on the other side, where your life is completely in shambles. And you're I got this. I'll be all right. I'll figure it out. I. Maybe you need a little help. Reach out the hand. Pick up the phone. Don't call anyone if you can't. But text them and say, hey, I'm not okay. I need help. Because if you don't ask for help, there's a finality to that. At some point, there's a finality to that. And I'll let you guys interpret that how you want. Yeah. I don't know how I went from my list to this. If you're watching, sorry. I don't know. Can't throw my list away because it's not done. And it's not the end of Sunday yet either. Okay. So I was watching one of my favorite YouTubers, Nurse Kim. And I just love her because, what's her saying? Clutch, clench, Kegel. And it's just, she's so true. So true, like some of the things she says. But she got wicked vulnerable yesterday. And the outpouring of love, right? Like she got vulnerable. And I could tell it was like slightly uncomfortable. Because she didn't want to talk about it. And again, part of this channel, right? I'm going to get uncomfortable with me, but not put other people in on the spectrum. Like I'm very careful on adding other people's information. And you could tell she wasn't okay with maybe having to say this, but the reason why I'm bringing this up, the end result was she got an outpouring of love and connection because she got vulnerable. Was that her expectation? Probably not. She was probably doing it to like quiet the trolls and the rumors and the speculation, right? Because rumors die when truth is told. And I was watching it, I was listening to her, and like I'm talking to my television. I'm like, no, that's I'm so happy for you. Like, and I felt the pain. I couldn't connect with the pain because, well, I couldn't connect entirely, but I could connect certain parts of that. And I was like, that's what this is about, right? It's the same thing as like anything can be good, but it can get turned bad, right? AI, right? It can be a great thing, but it can also be bad. Like there's a negative to it. So like with YouTube, right? It can be a great thing. I'm choosing, my choice is to make it a positive place. There's plenty. If you want to watch negative crap, there's plenty on there to watch. But it's the same as like, do you want to watch doom and gloom news, or do you want to watch happy news? Because you can actually watch one or the other, or both. So I'm choosing a happy channel, a real channel, a connection of a channel. So there's that. All right. So this came up the other day in a conversation. And when I tell you, when I have conversations with other people, specifically like with Megan, we will start about one thing, like general, right? Like, how was your day? How was your night? Like, oh, that kind of stuff. And they're not superficial conversations, right? Sometimes it's like, what'd you do last night? And sometimes the what you did last nights can get real heavy. But we, like, there is nothing linear about our conversations. So, I think we were talking about trade. Oh, actually, I think I'm remembering now. So we were talking about how, like, our generation really pushed higher education. And she talked about her experience and, like, loved it, right? And I was inquisitive about some of that stuff. And see, again, I'm being cautious of not sharing what she said, right? I'm just giving you the baseline of the conversation. So she talked about her experience and her view on it. And I talked a little bit about, how, then we were talking about the trade schools. And she said, I think I would have loved a trade school. And I said, I think you would have been bored. Because when we went to trade schools, Votex, it was a school for dummies. And maybe that's where I like still think like I'm not intelligent or whatever, right? And I've learned that intelligence isn't based on grades. Intelligence is based on a lot of things. Unfortunately, our society has based it on grades. So, and like to act a certain way and like social norms and all that stuff, right? Like we could get into like, are people with autism and Asperger's really not complying with societal norms? Like, is that wrong? No. Get uncomfortable, people. That's the end of that one. So we started talking about like, being in the trades and how people in my life have said, I don't want to be doing this work past my 40s because it's going to have a toll on my body. And she's got some people in her life that, are in trades as well. And, I think it's very important, specifically, like if you're in the trade, like to make sure like you've got a good nest egg, right? Because truly your body is taking a toll, right? Like there's things like, I was actually saying to her, I was like, yeah, like it actually makes sense. Like my son will get pants that have like the double layer in the knee and they still blow out. So like he's on his knee, right? Like he's working, and you're not meant to be in that position, 4 hours a day or all the time, right? And another friend of mine, her father was in construction and like literally had like 2 knee surgeries and, like just constant. And it's because he was in the construction trade. So there's the start of the conversation that we had. So here's where, excuse me, my Post-it note came into place. And if anyone else read these, they'd be like, what the hell are you? So my Post-it note says female workers equals construction workers. I just needed that information to keep me to go where I'm going. So why as a society do we look down on female workers? Now I'm not talking morals or laws, right? Let's take the law out of it, right? There's no law. What is the difference between a female worker who uses her body to make money versus a male worker who uses his body to make money? What's the difference? Just curious. Oh, because morally you don't like it? So now it's a law? Well, I don't like the fact that men may need knee surgeries. We should make it a law. I'm just curious. Why? Why do we look down on a female who uses her body to make money versus a male who uses his body to make money? That wasn't my thought, by the way. But once it came to me, once I was asked that question, I went, why is that? I have my own personal beliefs. Is it because the goal is to always make sure women are treated poorly, differently, punished for doing something? And then we can get into the, well, she wouldn't be able to do that. if there wasn't a supply and demand, right? There's a supply and demand. So, which one is it? Which one do you want? Do you want to fight for this or do you want to fight for that? So, if you've never thought of that, drop a line. Let me know. This isn't, the debate channel. This is a open up our eyes for different points of view channel. And a lot of, while I'm saying this, it brought me back to one of my sociology classes. And it was a professor who had her own book, and one of it was I think I remember one part, or maybe it was a lesson that she had taught. It's a moral code, right? And yes, all of our laws are based on moray and things of that nature, but if it's considered a crime, then there's other crimes being committed to solicit that crime. So again, just trying to spark conversation. This isn't to be argumentative, because I don't have the answer to that, posing that question, but it makes you think. It makes you think, right? Because I know plenty of guys that I'm around that their body hurts because they've been doing construction their entire life. So yeah, it just makes you think, right? And then you can get into personal statements on their intimate parts. Go away. Okay, I'm done with that one. Whew. I feel a little yucky. And not because of what we were talking about, but because how other people think. Okay. So I'm at an age where, my mom had me young. So, 60s. She's 60. She's not in the need of needing a caregiver. But I have other people around me in my life that their parents are a little older. Ryan's dad is the frickin' Energizer bunny, so I ain't talking about that guy either. That dude is we have to tell him not to do stuff, and he doesn't listen. He's an old salty bastard. He ain't listening to shit. But again, right, it doesn't necessarily affect me, but these are things that have come up that I would like to discuss because they may be important to other people. And again, drop a line, let me know. Just waiting for my sponsor to text me. I'm supposed to meet her in about 45 minutes. But I want to get to Staples to return the Amazon thing before I see her. So I think I'm going to do that no matter what. No ifs, ands, or buts. I said I think. So anyways, there are people in my life that are starting to get to that caregiver stage. And again, without getting too much into my life with other people, at one point I was experiencing caregiver burnout. So how do we prepare ourselves? I'm actually gonna AI overview. state of severe physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion resulting from the prolonged stress of caring for someone. So it doesn't necessarily mean like caring for an aging parent. It could mean caring for a sick relative. It could be caring for the people in your home. Like, you know, I always looked as my grandmother as like the matriarch, right? And this is my perception, like whether it's true or not, I don't know. I look at my Aunt Debbie and I feel like she's like a matriarch of her family too. At what point do you realize that you're stressed for caring for someone? And like, when can you say, like, as women, do we want to say I'm stressed for caring for someone when it's been pushed to us that no, you must care for people in your life, right? That's what women do. It's heavy. It's heavy stuff, you know? Sometimes I feel like that in this home, right? Like, Ryan will joke like, oh, the house would go to hell without you around. And while I take some pride in that, there's a weight with that too, right? I'm very proud of him. He paid his own card. But I'm going to look. Oh, shit. He even checked it off on the list. Gotta let it go, Danielle. Right? So, wow, there's a lesson learned for me. I don't have to make sure it all gets done when I want it to get done. It will get done. But, right, like say that didn't happen, that there's a level of anxiousness and stress. And then what happens, right, as it says, is we get into a state of severe physical, emotional, and mental exhaustion. Let's take each one piece by piece. Physical, right? Like, I'm exhausted just by carrying the groceries from the car to the house. Now, some of that comes with age and whatnot, but I'm exhausted to just get up in the morning. I'm tired of just being tired. And how do you walk away from that? How do you walk away from being a caregiver to someone? Again, is it part of like what we've been forced with in society? Or is it in our DNA, right? I almost said I'm not smart enough for that. I'm not qualified to answer that. Woohoo! I'm not qualified to answer that. And then emotional. Male or female, we're emotional beings. And let's like try to figure that out. One point I'm tied, right? It's like, you know, the angel and devil on one side. Emotionally, I need to be there for these people. And then the other side, emotionally, like I'm exhausted. What do I do? It's fighting your mind and your heart, right? Like what we talked about earlier. It's you're fighting yourself. And that for me, you know, brings me back to like addiction, right? Like I'm fighting myself. I'm fighting myself saying, I know this isn't good for me. But the other side is saying, but it's okay, you can do it. That's the same, right? Caregiving, especially when you're on that emotional burnout. I know that this isn't good for me, but I need to do it, right? I think that is like just a check your temperature type of thing, right? I don't know. It's so hard. So hard. Mental exhaustion. Well, that just parlays into exactly what I just said, right? I'm over here emotionally saying, it's not good for you, but just do it. Now, I've just done a circle in my brain. It's constantly going, right? It's constantly, the wheel is constantly spinning. And I don't know how to get the wheel to stop. How? I have to care for this person, but I'm so tired for caring for this person. They did so much for me, but I'm dying inside. Like, how do you get that wheel to stop? I don't know. Just conversation. I'm not equipped to give that answer. I'm not equipped to give that answer. Have you guys ever experienced a caregiver burnout? If so, drop a line. Let me know how that feels. And again, I think we instantly go to caring for like aging parents and stuff. At least for me, that's where I instantly go. I've never had a ill child on a consistent level, but that's a caregiver burnout, right? A spouse, a friend, a neighbor, a sibling, yeah. Have you ever experienced it? How do you deal with it? Are you dealing with it? Are you like, I don't know what else to do? Maybe at some point this community can be available, right? Like, hey, Jane over here has experienced this before. Jane, do you mind if I hook you up with, Lisa and Jane, chat, Oh my gosh, that would be so beautiful. Oh my gosh, that would be absolutely beautiful. I would love that. But I don't control what happens. Okay. We're about 38 minutes in. Can I get this next subject done? And then I can get rid of that one. Okay. All right. Hold, please. I need to refill. All right. Postpartum depression. Very different from the baby blues. Here's a little statistic. A serious common mood disorder occurring during pregnancy or within a year after childbirth, characterized by intense sadness, anxiety, and fatigue. It affects up to 20 to 25% of mothers, often requiring treatment like SSRIs or therapy. So, some key aspects. Causes often linked to rapid hormonal, social, and physical changes after childbirth. Woo! Yeah. Like, let's just talk about that for a second. So, you have 9 months of, again, I am not a doctor, personal point of view, okay? I'm not an MD. I don't have nothing attached to my name. It is first name, middle name, last name. There's no commas, there's no dots, there's nothing. I'm a PhD in my head. This is so weird having a one-sided conversation and then laughing at myself. Just so you know. So you have 9 months to build, or these hormones, right? They increase, some decrease, but it's a 9-month time span. And then within 24 hours, the hormones that you created for another human being are gone. Poof. Out of you. Rapid. That's pretty rapid to me. That's real rapid, actually. That's how my brain sees it, right? And then, yes, there are some that, then these finally come back up to a level. Maybe it takes 9 months, but that's why they talk about it in that first year, right? It's a huge change. And full transparency, I hated pregnancy. Every second of it. Maybe it was my age. Maybe it's just who I am. I don't think that in my older years I would like it either. But I'll never know. That's a good thing. And then I was so scared to give birth. That book, What to Expect When Expecting, awful. It was good from the first 6-7 months. And then when they talked about birthing, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want to do that either. How do you get them out of me without either of those things? I then subsequently did have a C-section because he was fat. He was 10 pounds, 7 ounces. Thank you for cutting him out. TMI, I don't care. If you're a woman, you've probably been around a woman who has talked more about her childbirthing experience than I will. But again, I didn't like any of it. And I didn't, any new mom doesn't know what to expect. But I didn't think I had a nurturing bone in my body. He gave me my nurturing part, truly. And I'm still rough around the edges, let's be honest. But, so I had to stay in the hospital. I think I was there for a total of 6 days. And the reason is that I kept spiking a fever, and then they thought that they had left some instruments inside me because nothing was it was intense. It was intense. So on day 6 or whatever, I get ready to go home. Now, mind you, I didn't have a great experience at the hospital either. That's neither here nor there because we're talking about PPD, postpartum depression. Now, I do believe that I was also starting to experience some depression tendencies, hereditary DNA stuff, but I didn't know that at the time. So I get home, and my body's hurting. My mother, brings us back to her house. That's where we were living, and she dropped me off to get, so I could get settled in, and she was going to go pick up my prescriptions. And within 5 minutes of her leaving, I had a breakdown. Screaming, crying. He wasn't doing anything. It wasn't like he was being whiny or anything. I just got home and it was oh my God, what do I do? The hospital, they don't put the kid in the nursery, they're with you. But I had 24-hour care. And that 24-hour care was gone. And I called my son's father, and he came over, and my mother had come back, and he had just arrived there. And my mom walks in, and I'm full-blown psychosis. screaming, crying all at the same time. And my mom walks in and she goes, "What did you do?" Talk about a mother's love, right? She thought that he had done something. And he's like, "Danielle just called me," and she was freaking out. So that, to me, that was my very first sign of what I was experiencing. And again, in 2005, I'm not sure that it was that well known or documented, at least in my world, right? So, again, the cause is often linked to rapid hormonal, social, and physical changes after childbirth. So, like, within a week, I was experiencing that. And it says it's characterized by intense sadness, anxiety, and fatigue. So, that was like the first thing. And then the second is because he was a chunk of monk and a big boy who ate a lot. I don't know if that's why, but he did not sleep. He did not sleep. And I had to go back to work after 6 weeks. And I even worked like on a Saturdays to do some side stuff, but I had him with me and I would put him in the, thing, and my back was hurting, and right, like I got a belly that just deflated 90 pounds, and there's stuff going on there. But I had to work. And I had to provide. And let me tell you, I was not providing. It was, a step above like an entry-level job. The pay was not great. It was a job. I had something. I was a single mom, for all intents and purposes. That's not for anyone else to know unless you're inside my orbit. And it was tough. And I was tired. So when you're not sleeping, you're exhausted. You don't have a large support network, right? My mom loves her grandson, but I'm not sure she loved the situation, right? I also had to live with her, small house. It worked for her and I growing up. But now I had to share my bedroom with a crib and a crying baby, and it's a small house, and I was worried about him crying in the night and keeping her awake, right? I was exhausted. I was tired, man. And my hormones were messed up, and I wasn't healing right. And this might make me get emotional too. My mom worked in a hospital, and I worked in the town, and there was a young boy who passed. And the town that I worked in, this young boy passed, and my mom worked in a hospital close to that town. And my mom's very much into her responsibilities as a healthcare professional, and but she came home, and I had known about what had just happened, and she came home and she was off. She never discussed what happened, but I can gather that she probably worked on this young boy. And she just told me, don't ever hurt him. And I think I needed to hear that at that point in time, because I was so exhausted. And shortly after that, a couple of nights later, I don't know, maybe even that night, he was up crying again. And she took him from me. Now, I don't think I ever would have hurt him. But I'll never have to know, because she helped that night. And she took him for me. And I'm just thinking, like, what if someone doesn't have that? Right? What if someone doesn't have that person? And I didn't know what I had at that point in time. And, you know, we talk about how women, medical misogyny is going to be another episode. Whew. But we talk about like how when we do ask for help, we're poo-pooed. You're let your hormones balance out. You'll be okay. No, like what if I'm dying inside and a professional tells me, just let your hormones balance out? What if time is against us? What if we don't have a person who can take my kid for the next 2 hours so I can get my sanity back? What if we don't have that in our life? It's scary. It's why we need each other. Some of the symptoms: intense irritability. I had that big time. Crying spells. I don't know. I'm crying a lot now. Jeez. But no, I did. You know, difficulty bonding with the baby. I don't recall, but feeling of worthlessness. Man, did I feel like I was awful. You know, again, my living situation wasn't ideal, you know. Grateful that I had it, but it wasn't ideal. You know, people coming by to see the baby and not you. That's tough, right? But you take, I took pride in that, that they wanted to see something I created. And then, you know, my job situation wasn't fantastic, you know. I needed the WIC, I needed the food stamps, I needed this, I needed that, you know. I couldn't help my mom in any way. Like, I needed diapers. Diapers are expensive. Like, that's where my paychecks went, you know. And maybe a little something to eat for me. But yeah, you know. So, you know, if you've ever experienced it or you're afraid of it, like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, you know, and then maybe you can get professional help. I can get rid of this one, and we've got an empty space, so we'll see what this week brings. So thank you guys for letting me ramble. I never thought I'd get emotional on these things, but I guess it was meant to be. So if you're viewing this, please put a comment in there. Let me know if you agreed, disagreed, you know. Let's talk. Let's talk. You know, did you identify with something? And most importantly, let's build each other up. Let's help each other survive another day in this world, right? We all have something in common. We're all women trying to survive. And that's it. All right. Take care. Talk soon.